Hi there, it's Monica Brooks, and welcome back to the podcast. Have you ever felt that you're working your butt off and no one seems to notice? And you're waiting for people to acknowledge all of the hard work and extra effort that you're putting in? Or maybe it's a relationship where you're looking for someone to recognize you, to give you a compliment, or to feel loved or to feel seen. Or maybe it's social media because you post something and you're eagerly checking those likes and views and comments to roll in because it feels good. It feels validating. But here's the thing, none of that lasts, and none of it is ever enough. So today we're talking about why everything you're searching for, whether it's confidence, happiness, or success, is an inside job. The truth is, if you're waiting on some type of external validation to feel good about yourself, then you're actually handing over your power to something you can't control. This episode is about breaking free from that constant chase for approval and learning how to validate yourself from the inside out. Because if no one ever told you they were proud of you again, would you still feel proud of yourself? All right. So if you're ready, let's get started. Welcome to the Becoming a Better You podcast. My name is Monica Brooks, and I'm a self improvement enthusiast who is eager to share tips and strategies to help you become the best version of yourself. As an inspirational speaker who transitioned from a corporate career, I'm here to guide you on your journey towards enhancing your overall human experience. If you're ready to take the first step towards becoming the best version of yourself, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. So this topic first came to mind when I was talking with a friend about social media, and there's so much drive out there for people to stay relevant, to feel important, and they're always chasing that next big thing. And I was telling my friend, like, I don't care about those things because those things don't make me feel better about myself. But so often people look for this external validation to feel awesome, to feel amazing, to feel like they're doing it, when really all of those things are temporary. But then I started thinking, like, yeah, this is in so many different aspects, even in work, like I mentioned at the beginning. If you're looking for someone to see you, if you're looking for someone to compliment you and to say, wow, the work you're doing is so impactful. When I think about an inside job, I have to go back to a book I read when I was diagnosed with cancer. And I love this book so much. And this is probably why it's always on my mind because the book is actually called An Inside Job. It's a psychologist who shares healing wisdom for a cancer journey. And I remember when I started reading this book, I was like, yes, yes, all of these things. Yes, it's an inside job. And that's probably why it's instilled in me. So, I want to talk about these three aspects: work, relationships, and social media. First, let's talk about work and avoid falling into this, let's call it a validation trap. So, when we tie our worth to recognition at work, whether it's a promotion, a raise, our boss acknowledging our efforts, that is all external things happening that you have no control over. That external validation that you're seeking, it could be one day you're celebrated for an awesome job on the project, and then the next day you're expected to do more. If you constantly need someone to say, you're doing a great job, to feel good, you are putting your self worth into someone else's hands. It should not be in their hands, it should be in your hands. Your validation, your need to hear you're doing great should always, first and foremost, come from you. I'll give you an example. Whenever my son does some type of sports event or competes, he has been trained to always say, first and foremost, that I'm proud of myself. And those are the first words he says. And the reason I started to teach him to do that is because I had a friend and I told her once, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. And she looked at me and she was like, my mom has never told me that. And in my head, I thought, who cares? She may never say it, and you're going to wait to feel proud of yourself until your mom tells you. No, like it's an inside job. And so I always make sure that my son feels good about himself first because I never want him to wait on someone else to make him feel good. So when it comes to your career and that true fulfillment, it is all internal validation. You have to know your value. You have to celebrate your growth. And then you define success on your terms and not anybody else. So instead of asking, does my boss see my hard work? Ask yourself, do I see my hard work? Am I acknowledging my own progress? Because that feels so much better than depending on someone else for you to feel good about yourself and the work that you're doing. All right, let's talk about relationships. And I watched this show, this cooking show with this celebrity, and so many times throughout the show, she talks about not being married, finding the love of her life. And I feel like saying, girl, like, it's an inside job. Like, stop putting your happiness on being in a relationship because there isn't one person who can quote unquote, you complete me. Man, that Jerry Maguire movie, if you've seen that, I think it messed a lot of us up. Like, you complete me. That's what he said. When really we should be completing ourselves. The idea that happiness is something you find in someone else is a lie that we've been sold. People can add joy to your life, but they don't create joy. That is up to you. So if you're feeling lonely, if you want that person, it isn't about that. It's about needing a stronger connection with yourself. So anytime I start to feel a certain way, or maybe I'm triggered, or maybe I'm feeling a lack in some way, I always ask myself, what part of me has a problem with this? And that question helps me dig deeper. So if I'm this celebrity that I'm talking about, I would be asking myself that question. What part of me feels that another person is going to make me happy? What part of me feels that being in a relationship is going to make me happy? Because all of the things external can be temporary. But when you do the real work on yourself, that lasts longer than any joy someone can bring in a relationship. It really is about learning about yourself, loving yourself for being amazing, feeling lovable as well, and loving yourself unconditionally. No one's going to love you like you do. No one, because no one knows you like you do. There are so many things that make you lovable. And you don't need anyone else to recognize that. You don't need anyone else to see it or to tell you. Be content if you are alone with being alone. And if you don't like being alone, say, what part of me has this problem of being alone? And really dig in there. I am not a therapist. I don't pretend to be. I just love this stuff. So talk to someone also. If this is something that's an ongoing problem, talk to a professional. And the last piece I want to talk about is social media because it's that endless chase for more. It is never enough. If you're looking at your likes, you're looking at your views, you're wanting to go viral, ask yourself why, and then understand that it feels good temporarily. That's the thing is this validation is temporary because you're always going to want more. It's like that dopamine hit from social media. It's like it's sugar for our body. It gives you that really quick high, like, oh, look how many views I have. Look how many likes I have. But it's not going to nourish you long term. And social media is here, right? It's a reality. We likely all have it. But ask yourself how much of your self worth is attached to it. How much of your self worth is based on how many views and likes you get or whether something went viral or not? When your mood depends on how well your posts do, you're giving away your power. And maybe you're like, oh, I don't get upset about it. I'm just learning. Totally fine too. But if you want to go viral, if you want to be an influencer, if you want more likes and more views, get clear on your why first. Understand why that's important to you. Again, that is an inside job to understand it because all of those things you're chasing are temporary. Let's say you get a really great collaboration, temporary. Let's say you go viral, temporary. Like all of those things feel good in the moment. And the thing with dopamine, when you get that dopamine hit, that chemical release of like, oh, this feels so good, like that sugar, you're going to want more and more, and you're going to keep chasing it when really your validation, your worthiness is all an inside job. So we have a lot of external dopamine triggers: social media, shopping, caffeine, sugar, validation from others. That makes us feel good. Remember, that's temporary. But you can control dopamine on the inside when you move your body, when you're using creativity, when you celebrate your small wins, when you're connected to things, whether that's deep conversations or having meaningful time with people. Gratitude, being grateful, also gives you that dopamine hit. I encourage you to practice gratitude on a daily basis. I just presented at a conference a few weeks ago, and I had looked up some research, and it said that you can increase your happiness by 10% simply by practicing gratitude. And I thought that was amazing. So instead of waiting for that dopamine hit from outside sources, ask yourself, how can I create my own dopamine today? And then take action on it. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Start with small steps so that you begin to feel good from the inside out. There's a question I like to ask my audience when I go to speak with them. And the question is, what if this is as good as it gets? Like, what if this is it? And you're always waiting on something to happen for it to get better for you. What if this is it and you've missed it because you were so wrapped up on wanting and needing this external validation from anyone, everyone, whether it's the promotion, whether it's the raise, whether it's the performance review? What if it never comes? Will you still be happy? Or are you putting conditions on your happiness because of something external outside of you and outside of your control? What if no one ever says they're proud of you? Would you still feel proud of yourself and acknowledge the work that you're doing? You see, so many people spend their lives waiting for validation that may never come from their parents, from their bosses, from their partners. You don't need someone to say, I'm proud of you. Instead of waiting for praise, ask yourself, what am I proud of today? At the end of the day, everything you're searching for, it already exists within you. You don't need more likes. You don't need that promotion. You don't need anyone's approval to feel whole. The real work and the most important work is an inside job. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. If this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone else. And as always, keep focusing on what truly matters, and that is becoming a better you. Until next time.